Hey guys, welcome back to the segment this week. We've got Darlene Chin from Attitude for Men. Look at me. I'm all dressed up, out of my fishing shirt. Look at these shoes, baby. They cost more than my boat. But listen, a great privilege. I'm actually really excited about this week. We've got Miss Darlene Chin. She's the owner of Attitude for Men. So it's the premier men's store in the Northern Territory. Would you please welcome Darlene?
Oh, cheers.
Come on. So I had to go and get a bottle of champagne. Me being so not the fashion guru, I enjoy my fishing shirts 6 days a week, and the other day probably running around in my undies. But anyway, so Darlene agreed. She said, I'll come on the show as long as I can dress you up. So firstly, check out those shoes, baby.
I hope your undies are nice.
Anyway, so tell me this. Attitude for Men has been in business a long time in Darwin. Long time, great reputation. What do you think is one of the key things that has kept you at the top of your game up here? Because the Northern Territory is tough. So what's kept you up there?
For me, I think it's attention to detail and persistence. And I'm really picky, right? So I'm a very critical person. I'm very picky. So I think that gives me an edge because I don't want people to leave my store with a second best outfit. So we just try to deliver the best all the time.
Well, for me, that honestly lives in his fishing shirt. I really enjoyed my experience in your shop. Your shop is wonderful. Cappuccino bar, the whole lot. What a fit out. It's incredible.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it.
Let me say this, and on a serious note, all right? Us guys are terrible at probably taking care of, maybe not everyone, but maybe you get to a certain stage in your life, not referring to anyone, and you have the same cruddy pair of jeans. For as men, we forget how important it is to dress up. And look, can you give any men advice out there on why they should be dressing up?
I think, you can get busy and you can get complacent and your wife loves you however you turn up every day.
You said that very diplomatically.
So you just get really cozy and it doesn't feel like it impacts what you're doing on a daily basis. But some days when you are doing something special and you dress up, you feel better, don't you?
I do.
So not everyone understands that because they don't do it very often. Yep. And it feels like a chore as well. Men come in and they think, oh my God, I'm shopping, I hate shopping. Yep. But we can make shopping a really good experience. Yep. It can be fun. Yep. You can come and have a beer while you're browsing. Yep.
Geez, your shop will be full now.
Oh yeah, I should be careful about that. But it doesn't have to be a horror experience where we're forcing you into buying something that you don't really want. That's not what we do. And my staff, my team, when they start working with us, I always say we don't sell things to people, we help people buy things. Yeah. And I think that's really important, that you don't walk in the door and we bombard you trying to sell you things that you don't want or need. So people are comfortable. And I read statistically years ago, though, that 70% of menswear is bought by women. So men either abdicate that responsibility to their wife because they hate shopping, or their wife's really controlling like me and wants to boss them around and insist on what they wear. So in both of those cases, it can be a bit of a chore for men.
So tell me this, I imagine you've probably dressed thousands of young men. Have you, I'm just imagining.
And a few old ones.
And a few old ones. Do you get yourselves in situations where guys come in and say, listen, I got a hot date. Is that real or is that the movies? Do you end up?
No, that happens. That happens every week, really. And I'm a bit naughty, and so I will say to people, you'll definitely get luck in that outfit, right? I've had guys come back and say, yay, thank you. It worked. So that's really good. And the same for job interviews or other special occasions where people want to feel special or different. Great clothes are like a suit of armour sometimes, and you can feel a bit invincible if you're dressed up.
Yeah, good. So to all my mates out there that are 45 plus, they need to get in and see Darlene. The bar's open. Let's talk about business. So your family, as I understand it, your grandfather's grandfather, your great-grandfather worked in Darwin. Your family has had a long, long history in Darwin. Obviously that's had an incredibly positive impact on you being I guess, an astute and successful businesswoman here in the NT.
It has, and that's part of the reason why I came back to Darwin. I was living in Melbourne. Nobody wants to do that anymore, not this year. But I was living in Melbourne as a young woman, and my parents coaxed me to come back to Darwin. And, you know, it felt comfortable because I had that really great support network of family and friends. And I remember coming back to Darwin and, you know, you walk down the mall and bump into so many people that you know. And so it was really comfortable having that history and that foundation family.
One of the things I picked up is that when you were talking about your dad, I think he ran a service station.
Yes.
Up here on Smith Street, was it?
Oh, Daly, the corner of Smith and Daly at the time of the cyclone.
And so I remember you saying to me that you know, brothers and sisters, you pumped up the tyres and...
Yeah, I only have brothers.
Only brothers.
Hence I'm very good at bossing men around, boys around. But yeah, we grew up in that driveway service petrol station. So we grew up with a really strong customer service ethic. Pumping up tyres and checking your oil and water and cleaning your windscreens. That was a really good foundation too.
Talking about customer service, you're going to get me on my soapbox here because I don't think it's something that we do very well. And that's me personally, okay? My experience when I go to Bali and I get off the plane, I've got a guy there that knows my name, my wife's names, all my kids' names. He's prepared to take me to the airport. He'll do anything for me to win my business for the next month. When I get off at the airport here, I'm lucky to get a grunt or a groan. Now, I know that's a very broad statement, but customer service for your game, and particularly the world I'm in, is something that we've got to be experts
so important.
at.
It's so important. And if we want to be a tourist town, if we're relying on tourism to prop up our economy, as we do, I mean, now I'm operating without any tourists and we're about 30% down on last year, and I think that's where it's at. That's how much tourism's worth to us. Yep. It's crucial that we get that right. Yep. Hopefully you don't walk in my door and get a grunt and a groan.
You made me feel like $1 million.
Yeah, not just me, my team.
Yep.
You know that, and it's got to come from the top.
Yep.
Because you've got to expect the best of your people,
Yep.
and you've got to train them. They don't just know it by osmosis what you want from them. So you've got to be there. And, you know, Darwin's mostly made up of small businesses. Yeah. So those small business people need to be there nurturing their people to give the best possible result, the best possible service, and not settle for second best and be mediocre and go, oh, it's Darwin, you don't have to try too hard.
Tourism is a very complex issue, and I don't pretend to have any answers here, but one of the things I've noticed is, yes, the council and the government spent a lot of time on reactivating Darwin. Fantastic, great, go for it. Yeah. And it looks like it's getting results, okay? That's from broadly. But one thing, I've worked every Christmas helping in town putting up decorations, and there's been cruise ships arrive where you would have 2,000 people come down that mall and there is not one shop open.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And whether that's not planning, what that is, but my question to you is, of those 2,000 people that get off the boat, in your experience, do they want to shop and do they spend money?
No, they're mostly not. And so when those cruise ships come to town on a Sunday or a public holiday, yep. you probably don't find my shop open either because those nans and pops they're not here to shop. They're just not. And so they go to the pharmacy and they might go to the bottle shop and they will hopefully do a tour. But as far as, and retail has been criticised in the city for that very thing, that we're not there available. But in my experience, and I have opened many times when cruise ships come in, they just don't shop. And they certainly don't wander all the way around to Nucky Street in 34 degrees and 90% humidity either.
We've got scooters now.
Yeah, we have.
We've got scooters.
Do you think nans and pops have the balance?
I can see it. Come on, Grandma,
so,
let's go.
It's a shame, but it's a reality. And I think that the retailers in the city, they know, they've tried it, and they know it doesn't work for them. Yep. If it worked for them, they would be open. Their doors would be open, I'm sure.
Let me, a loaded question. What if you're going to give out Darwin a score out of customer service, right across the board, how do we fare? What do you think?
Sadly, I think it's a little bit
I think
on
you're
the
being
low
generous. It's very low.
side.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that people feel like mediocrity is acceptable here, because it doesn't really take much to excel. And you just try a little bit harder and you can be way ahead of the pack here, because it tends to be a bit light on. I mean, the problem we all face is that we don't have the talent pool that other cities have. So we rely a lot on travellers, backpacking staff, and so you don't get the continuity that you really need to deliver a great product. And I have been fortunate that I've had, long-term staff, as well as supplementing it seasonally with backpackers.
And your husband as well.
Yes.
And your husband. So let's talk about, so you've got multiple businesses here. So your husband and yourself work together and you do the books, or how?
Yeah, I used to do the books.
Yep. And he's got his own wholesale business.
Yeah, we wholesale wine and food products, mostly premium wine and some spirits and beers. And, that's his thing. He's a wine guy. Yeah. And when I met him, he was working for another company. And maybe me being in business already gave him the confidence to step out and do his own thing as well. And now that's 18 years we've been doing the wine wholesale, and it's it goes really well. We're only small in the scheme of things. Yeah. But
that's all right. Fashion and wine, it's a good
great
mix, isn't it?
I call us the best dressed drunks in town.
So two questions that are burning inside of me are, how has the internet, we live remote. Darwin there's no way about we're remote, okay? So for yourself that started, or very successfully, a business, fashion business, that I guess it earns on basically commission from distributors. That's how it sort of works, because you're not a manufacturer, is that correct?
No. But so I purchase goods and then I mark it up and sell it.
So, or us, general population would just assume that the markups in fashion are huge, but that's incorrect.
The markups sound huge, but once you take into account all of the things that you have to pay along the way to keep those doors open, then you don't end up with a big net profit. And
is online, the whole world is going online at the moment, is that killing your business, or do you feel like because you are a local provider, you've got that edge? Like you made me feel $1 million. Yeah. I had a ball. Yeah. Is that where your edge is?
I want to be personal service, so I don't want to be online. I see that as a completely different business, and one I don't know anything about. I don't even shop online. I don't enjoy that experience at all. I like the face-to-face traditional retail experience, and that's what I'm good at, and that's what I want to keep being good at. So I haven't ventured online. It's very hard to be competitive, I think, here, because we have to freight everything in, then, pick and pack it, freight it back out again. So you can lose 10% of your margin just in freight costs. And then if you need to do free returns that people do, how do they ever make money? I don't understand. It's sheer volume.
So what would you say, talking business, and I think one of the keys in our economy is small business is so underrated, and I think it's really the backbone to our economy, small business, and fostering and I'm really passionate about supporting local. And so anytime I get around anyone that's starting a business, I can't help but sort of put on the parental hat. If you were to give some advice to a young couple that wanted to get into the fashion industry, what advice would you give them?
Oh, yeah, wow. I don't want to say don't do it, because I love it. And, if I hadn't done it myself, then where would we be now? You'd be wearing your fishing shirt and those jeans. You said give you. So do it, but don't expect overnight success. Yep. It can take a really long time to establish yourself, gain the trust of your market, really get to know the whole thing. And it's always evolving. Fashion's always changing, and you've got to stay with it. You have to educate yourself a lot, constantly. And you see big behemoth online businesses, they don't make a profit for years and years. They're just trying to crush people along the way. You have to work really hard. You have to be prepared to be there every day. Retail fashion is a 7-day-a-week thing.
Hindsight is always a great thing in business. My gosh, there's no manual. is there one thing or one or two things that you're looking back over that long period of time that you'd do different?
I'd try to be less of a micromanager. I love being hands-on and I love being across everything in my business, and I find it hard to let go of things.
So you mean employ more people?
And trust more people to do things without me having to be there on top of everything all the time. And maybe, less controlling, because I have some control issues.
No. No.
You didn't notice.
All right, so Northern Territory, we're going to have a new government next week. I'm not sure anyone's got a magic crystal ball. We know what's going to happen. But what is something that you would really hope that will be close to the heart of the new government for small business in the Northern Territory?
I really hope that we don't end up with an arrogant government that thinks they have a mandate to just do whatever the hell they like, and still be considerate and consult a little with the community and the business community. For retail, it's very close to my heart, the issue that we need to be considered more as part of the bigger picture tourism experience. Yeah. And we're not a shopping mecca, it's not Singapore or Melbourne, but when people travel, they shop. So that becomes part of their connection to a city. The people that they meet in stores, and by and large in retail, the stores that you go into, everyone's super friendly, and I hear that all the time from tourists. Everyone is so friendly, and we need to remember that retail needs to be supported as well as tourism and hospitality, and it needs to be considered as part of that experience that people who live here and visit here enjoy.
Really good. Good advice. All right, I'm going to finish. I'm going to put the glasses on. I'm going to grab my champagne. Here we go. I'm not sure what the deal is with champagne. I'm not sure if it's a great... Anyway, so we'll go there. So I've got 10 questions for you. Okay. Favourite restaurant in the NT?
I love Pee-wee's.
Pee-wee's? I think, yeah, Simon does an incredible job.
Simon and Lily, they're the best.
Amazing. Not as good as you. Sorry, Simon. Favourite charity in the NT?
The RSPCA.
All right. Favourite event in the dry season?
Grays. I co-own a little event called Grays, and it's fantastic.
It's huge.
Oh, it's sizable, isn't it?
It's good. Good event. Great. I'm glad you said that. Favourite hairdresser?
Kabuki.
Same as mine. Fantastic. Best tourism attraction in the NT?
For me, it's water. The fishing, the harbour, the waterfalls, the rain.
I haven't
the
heard
wetlands.
That answered, but you're right. Everybody wants a house on the beach. You're right. Favourite shop in the NT? That's a weird one, isn't it?
For me to shop in?
Yeah.
Because obviously Attitude for Men's my favourite shop.
Of course it is.
But I shop in my own stores, and I'm lucky because I get to order the things that I want to.
All right, good. Okay, here's a loaded one. The best client to deal with, male or female?
Male, because you can boss them around and they just, pretty much do what you need them to do.
Your favourite drink?
Champagne.
Hey, champagne. All right, fantastic. And if you were asked to run for mayor or be chief minister, would you consider it?
No.
Not at all.
No. I don't have any political aspirations whatsoever. Zero.
You'd be good at it.
Oh,
You'd
no.
kick butt.
No, I'm not very diplomatic.
Awesome. Hey, listen, so for Attitude for Men, obviously, congratulations. It's just an amazing... Small business owners don't get enough accolades. You're in the trenches day in, day out. Congratulations to you, your family, what you've built in the city. So for people that need help like myself, they come into the store, they ask for Darlene, you'll get them a beer or a coffee, and you'll get shoes that are worth more than the boat.
Oh, they're not that expensive.
They're not. They look amazing. I've never had shoes like this in my life. But honestly, thank you for coming in, and I wish you genuinely all the success in the world in these times that are pretty tough. Cheers. Cheers. Next time.